All right, this is part 3 of our lesson on trigonometric functions, and especially introducing inverse trigonometric functions, which we use to find unknown angles. And if that's the one thing I want you to learn from this, is that if you're trying to find a missing angle, you're going to use the inverse trig functions for that. Guys, I encourage you to pause the video and try to do these problems on your own before I do them. And then you can play the video and see how you did. But just copying off of me will not teach you anything. So if you do need to go ahead and watch the video when you haven't been able to do it by yourself yet, go back and do the problem by yourself afterwards. Okay, let's zoom in on number 10. Okay, let's go ahead and find angle A. All right, I'm skipping to this right here, since that's the new thing I'm trying to teach you, is how to find unknown angles. Now, let's look at the two numbers that were actually given. So we're trying to find angle A. Now we're given these two sides, the 4.2 inches and the 6.5 inches. So your first job is to decide which trig function you're into. From the perspective of this angle, this 4.2 is the adjacent leg, so that's adjacent. And the 6.5 is opposite. All right, because adjacent means right next to and opposite means across from. So opposite and adjacent. So which trig function is that? Adjacent and opposite. Adjacent and opposite is the tangent function. Tangent of an angle is opposite over adjacent. Okay, so that lets us know that we're going to use the tangent function. Okay, I guess I'll just do it right here. So we will say tangent of angle A is opposite over adjacent. So that's going to be 6.5 over 4.2. How do we find the angle though? Well, to find the angle, we do the inverse trig function. We'll say angle A is equal to the inverse tangent of 6.5 over 4.2. And that we can just put in our calculator. Okay, so inverse tangent of 6.5 over 4.2. And that is 57.1. I forget what we're supposed to round to. Oh, we're supposed to round to a whole number, so 57 degrees. 57 degrees. Okay, so that's angle A. So if I want to find angle B, the easiest thing to do is just to subtract from 90. So if I simply do 90 minus 57 degrees, that should give me the other angle. So that is 33. Okay. Now let's go back and find AB, which is the hypotenuse. Okay, I'm going to need a little space over here. So if I want to go back and find AB, well, looky here. In a world where we have two sides already given, and so finding AB, we're asked to find the third side. Pythagorean theorem is the way to go. Okay, Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Just make sure you put the hypotenuse by itself. All right, so that's 4.2 squared plus 6.5 squared is equal to x squared. Okay. .2 squared plus 6.5 squared. All right, that's 59.89. Okay, so 59.89 is equal to x squared. And then we'll just go ahead and take the square root of both sides. Okay, so the square root of 59.89. All right, so that is 7.74. Okay, so that is AB, 7.74. Inches, let's put those units on there. And that's how you do number 10. All right, number 11. Notice we have no angles. No angles. How do we find angles? Inverse trig functions. Oh yeah. So if we're going to find angle D, for example, all right, focus in on angle D. All right, so there's angle D, and we've got this, and we've got that. So based on these three things, which trig function are you thinking? Well, this 3 here is the hypotenuse, and this 1.25 is adjacent. It's the adjacent leg right next to. So adjacent hypotenuse, which function is that? That'd be the trig function, man. All right, adjacent over hypotenuse, that's the cosine. Okay, so we're going to do the cosine. The cosine of angle D should equal adjacent over hypotenuse. So 1.25 over 3. So that means if I want to find angle D, which I do, angle D should equal the inverse cosine of 1.25 over 3. And I can just put that in my calculator. Okay, that's weird. So like I said, inverse cosine of 1.25 over 3. I forget what it actually was now. That's right, it is what it was. Great, great. And that's going to give me an angle of 65.3 blah, blah, blah. But we're rounding to the nearest degree. That's whole numbers, so 65 degrees, approximately. Okay, so angle D is approximately 65 degrees. Okay, that means the other angle, all right, because these have to add up to 90 degrees. The other angle must be 25 degrees. All right, how did I get the 25 degrees, you ask? Well, just take the first angle and subtract from 90. So I'm doing 90 degrees minus 65 degrees. And that's how I'm getting 25 degrees. Okay. Oh yeah, so I had sort of skipped EF because I was anxious to get to the new thing with the inverse trig function. But now let's go back to EF with an old thing. All right, just like on the last problem, if I want to find EF, okay, EF is the third side. So if we have two sides of a right triangle and we want the third side, Pythagorean theorem. It's all about the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay, now the C squared is the hypotenuse. So make sure this 3 ends up by itself. So it'll be like this, x squared plus 1.25 squared is equal to 3 squared. Okay, so that's x squared plus all right, and we can't round anything until the end. So if we're going to do it this way, you got to keep all the decimals. So 1.5625 is equal to 9. All right, subtracting okay, so I'm doing 9 minus 1.5625. All right, so that's 7.4375. So now I just need to take the square root of both sides. Okay, so the square root of 7.4375. Okay, and that gives me 2.73 if you round up. Okay, so that is EF. 2.73. All right, excellent. So that was number 11. Let's go ahead and knock out number 12. All right, well, this time we're given one of the angles, which kind of makes things pretty easy. So if we're given one of the angles, then GH would be right here. Okay, so that means I'm dealing with this side and this angle and this side. So the first thing you have to decide is which function is that? Well, let me tell you, okay? This 11 is clearly the hypotenuse. This x is clearly adjacent because it's right next to the 46. So I'm dealing with adjacent and hypotenuse. What in the world is that? That is our good old cosine function. All right, adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, so the cosine of 46 degrees is equal to adjacent over the hypotenuse. So this time I think I'll go ahead and just call it GH. All right, instead of calling it X, all right, I'm just going to plain call it GH. So adjacent over hypotenuse, so GH over 11. Okay, if I want to get GH by itself, then what I need to do is I need to multiply both sides by 11. All right, that'll cancel those out. So that'll give me what GH is. So 11 cosine 46. Okay, so that is 7.64. So 7.64 feet. Now, what about GI? Okay, well, if we're talking about GI, then GI is over here, right? So this is now what we're dealing with. So from the perspective of the 46, this GI is now opposite. All right, so because it's across from. So I've got opposite and hypotenuse. Which function is that? That is the sine function is opposite over hypotenuse. So the sine function, you say. So the sine of 46 degrees is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So again, I'm going to go ahead and use GI this time instead of just saying x. So GI over 11. So once again, I am going to multiply by 11 on both sides. All right, so GI will equal 11 sine 46. 11 sine 46. So that is 7.91. Feet. All right, let's keep with the units. All right, and last but not least, we need to find the measure of angle I. Now, do we need to do some sort of an inverse trig function, or is there an easier way this time? Yeah, there's an easier way this time, because if you already know one angle, all right, the other angle has to add up to 90 degrees. So I can just do 90 minus the first angle to get the second angle. So I'm simply going to do 90 minus 46. All right, 90 minus 46. All right, so it should be 44. Okay, and there's 44. So that's why angle I is 44 degrees. All right, so if you did some kind of inverse trig function, you should have gotten the same answer, but you just did it the long way. All right, that is the end of this lesson. I hope it was helpful to you. I hope you weren't copying off of me. Silly goose. You don't learn that way. Either way, I will see you on the next video.